Of the wounded, looting, cannibalism, you are hereby sentenced to death by hanging or torment.
Don't meddle. Take the reward and let's go.
Help me!
So, we are here in the GRTV countdown to Game of the Year, and we are talking about the Game of the Year. I think anybody that's been paying attention and watching this countdown is not going to be surprised when I announced the actual title for Game of the Year 2015, but it is Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. I'm joined by Philip here, and through the magic of the internet, I'm joined by Mike, Editor-in-Chief of Gamereactor UK, Ricardo, Editor-in-Chief of Gamereactor Portugal, and Bengt, Editor on Gamereactor UK. So, it's been a fantastic year of gaming here in 2015, but I mean, this game, we've been waiting for it for a long time, and it just hit and succeeded every expectation that at least I had.
Yeah, for sure. It was huge when it came out. It was there was so many high expectations that lived up to pretty much all of them. I think there was a couple of points where some people were slightly underwhelmed graphically, but again, compared to anything else out there right now, it still hits every mark.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the graphics, sure, they didn't reach quite the benchmark that they showed off in some of the early footage.
Exactly.
But it ran smoothly, and that is higher up on the priority
that's much
in my
more
opinion.
important.
But let's quickly do a run through on what everybody thinks about the game, starting with you, Philip.
Yes.
Quick thoughts on The Witcher 3.
Well, I reviewed the game back when it came out here in the Danish territory, and I gave it, I believe, a perfect 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed the game. I thought it had an excellent story, the way of telling these stories, and also just the fact that all the side quests made so much sense in the universe. They weren't just dumb little fetch quests as you see in some other role-playing games. They were actual standalone stories that were really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Baron side quest for one is just cream of the crop.
So yeah, and again, this was the first time that I had played a Witcher game, so it was completely new to me, but still, I found it pretty easy to get into. I quickly got a grasp of what was going on, and yeah, it was just an enjoyable experience overall from start to finish for me.
Let's throw it over to Skype. Who's quickest to speak?
I agree with Philip. I didn't play Witcher 1. I only played a little bit of the second Witcher, and I found it was very hard to get into the second Witcher. It was a lot of information getting put on the player all of a sudden, and they corrected that for the third game. I think it's a lot easier to get into the game than the Witcher 2. The way the story unfolds clearly helps the player get to know all the characters, all the mechanics. It's a lot easier, and also the tutorials were also a lot better. That was one of the main complaints for The Witcher 2. So yeah, they really listened some of the previous complaints. I think they corrected it.
Yeah, Mike?
Yeah. If we would like to make an analogy, I think it's like the first Witcher was sort of like based on the BioWare sort of Baldur's Gate era type games. Then we got Witcher 2, which was perhaps more sort of like Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, that sort of structure, the first Dragon Age. And now they've sort of leapfrogged, if you will, in terms of the concept and the structure, I'd say BioWare, with Witcher 3 being something that sort of transformed that whole sort of narrative structure and the way you play this sort of and of course it's open world as well, which is a change. Yeah. But you know, they've sort of transcended that their origins, if you will, because like CD Projekt, they all come from this sort of you know, the Bioware RPGs and then Diablo and that sort of thing has always been extremely popular in Poland and Eastern Europe, and so they came from sort of being a distributor of those kind of games there. They licensed Bioware's engine to build The Witcher based on a Polish writer's fiction, and then sort of it's grown from there. So now they've sort of graduated up to where, you know, not only are they sort of on par with the ones that they sort of took inspiration from, but perhaps even they've transcended that. You know, I'm very much a fan of Dragon Age. I still love Inquisition a lot, and I think that sort of the story speaks more to me, the characters in that game. But that's sort of more like a personal taste. I think that that the level of workmanship that's gone into Witcher is truly amazing. And I kind of take offense at the people who sort of nitpick at graphical details. I think there were some issues with the animations, at least in the beginning, that I didn't really, you know, especially when you were inside houses and stuff that didn't look that good. But really, that's all nitpicking. I mean, the game is absolutely beautiful, and what they've done is tremendous. And we know that they're going to continue to support and improve on that, because they've done that with the first two games, even releasing enhanced editions, etc. For those who own the game.
You mentioned characters there, Bengt.
Yep.
And I think when you talked about the characters in BioWare, in Dragon Age Inquisition more specifically, speaking to you more.
Yep.
I think that would probably be the case for a lot of people. Maybe I think
it's
too
probably
much.
even split there, because it's a different style of fantasy. You know, it's
well, what I was kind of where I was taking that line of thought was the that with the Witcher games, it's a big element of it is goes beyond the individual characters, the people that you meet, and that uniqueness and the special flavor that the game has comes from the world, and kind of through the moral grayness that kind of veins through so many of the encounters.
I think it's all pitch black, isn't it? There's no grayness there.
Well, I don't know. There's with BioWare's games, it does tend to be more of a kind of a contrast. There's more contrast, isn't there, between good and bad, and perhaps they've kind of been moving away from that recently. But and without wanting to kind of dwell too much on last year's game for the year, The Witcher 3 for me, the world, the people that you meet, it just had a very specific feel to it, and
it's got that sort of Slavic tradition, that sort of that lore to it. I mean, they do borrow from that, and as well as the Norse mythology for Witcher 3. But it's a pretty dark sort of subject matter to sort of. So I understand why that's the case, and that it's all in line with Vladimir Putin's beer wrestling and stuff. You know, that's the sort of fiction this is. So, you know.
Yeah.
We all enjoy that, don't we?
Of course. Now, I was thinking, let's talk about, because this is such an experience-rich game, both in terms of the actual story and the side quests and stuff like that. Maybe let's just touch upon, without hitting major spoiler territory, like your favorite memory in the game.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
See that's putting us on the spot there.
Yeah,
I think, 'cause
caught you
there's
by
so
surprise.
many.
tricky to do without spoiling anything as well.
Yeah.
Hey, you're all professional writers. Get to it.
Let's just make something up.
Exactly. I actually finished the game and the expansion pack, which is also very good. I think you already mentioned my favorite moment in the game. It's the Bloody Baron quest line, where you actually have to help him deal with his missing family. And like you guys said, it's not. It may not, depending on the decisions you make, it may not be a very happy ending, like most of the stuff in The Witcher. But it's definitely memorable, especially to me, because I was just a father right when I was playing the Bloody Baron quest line, so it kind of hit me a bit harder than it would be. But yeah, that's my moment for me, the Bloody Baron quest line.
Yeah.
My moment is actually not particularly linked to a certain moment that happened in the game. It's something that happened kind of peripheral to that. So, when I first played it, I bounced off it. To be honest, I tried to get into it, but I couldn't get on with the combat. I just got a bit fed up, and I had a big stack of things to play, so I kind of put it down for a while. And then I went back, and I took it down a notch in terms of difficulty, and I had a much better time. And I was actually able to kind of ignore the combat to a degree. You know, it's still tricky. I still died quite a lot. But I was able to kind of spend more time soaking up the atmosphere and kind of, you know, communicating with all the characters, kind of digging around the investigations, the plot lines, kind of experience the game rather than dealing with the frustration of the combat system, which, you know, is not a criticism. It's a solid combat system, and a lot of people will no doubt be spitting on the floor now at the mere suggestion that I took it down a notch. But yeah, it's a solid system. But for me, it was a barrier to the game, and I had a lot more fun with it once I scaled it back a little.
I think it's just a mindset there, really. I mean, I'm with you there. I'm the kind of player who I want to have sort of a friction-free experience rather than sort of really biting down and learning, because it is a very deep system, and once you sort of master it, there's you will, yeah, it does. You don't have to But I do say I think it's nice that they've done it the way they have, because if you look at things like the Souls games, for instance, they don't offer that, and then a lot of people are put off by it, and they never get into it. So rather than having that happen, it's much better that they do it this way. And for me, I'm with Mike. I also sort of stopped playing it for a bit, so I don't really have any sort of. I don't know if there's a moment, but like for mechanics, I really like the investigation part. I think that is something that adds something to, and having read some of the books as well, The Witcher is maybe 80% tracking, the books and sort of the fiction is maybe 80% tracking and learning about things and doing that stuff, and maybe 10% is actual combat or something like that. So it's nice that they've been able to sort of create some sort of mechanic to do. I mean, of course, you have to have more combat than there would be in the books, because otherwise it would be a pretty boring game. But I think that is a really nice way of introducing something like that without sort of having that sort of golden breadcrumb situation that we often have in RPGs, where you just run to an objective and you don't really take in anything on the side. You're just sort of tunnel wishing your way to the objective, and I think it's something that I think helps you enjoy the game more, and sort of take in the atmosphere, because it's not just about getting to that next objective marker and running to it. So even though maybe sort of it is at sometimes, but it does have some little bit more to it than that. So I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think
I gotta say just a little bit about the combat. I actually did the opposite. I played it on hard because I wanted the full Witcher experience, and it's cool because they let you either go easy and just do like hack and slash simple stuff, or you can go on in hard mode like I did, and you have to prepare for combat. So you have to take potions, see what kind of bombs and spells work better on the enemy you will be facing, and I just love that. But yeah, you need a specific kind of mindset to really immerse yourself in that world. So it's nice they have both options. You can either go easy, hack and slash, or hard and dive all in. That's what I did, and I loved it.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch upon kind of my favorite moment in the game. like playing a game filled with such morally ambiguous choices and kind of everything is just kind of negative.
Yeah.
I made like a huge actual realization about myself. I don't know, as a player, maybe as a person, I don't know. But I made some very morally ambiguous choices when it came to, sex in the game. I was basically just letting it all hang out, hitting everything that was thrown at me, which in the end ended up kind of messing up one of the main relationships in the game, and then it kind of hit me, man. It wasn't the killing of the innocents. It was like, oh, I maybe should have been faithful. So that was.
So you were really role-playing Gerald, though. That's.
Oh yeah, yes. It's not a reflection of me as a person.
Not at all.
Oh, I gotta mention my favorite moment. I just remembered is actually kinda almost by the end of the story you had, and this also shows how brilliant CD Projekt Red is. There's a quest where you need to wait for the next morning, and most games will just jump to the next morning. On The Witcher 3, you can have sex with the person in that night, and after that you can have drinks with the two buddies, two other Witchers, and you can really, the game gives you the option to several times, like stop, okay, that's enough, let's stop drinking and go back to bed, or you can continue just messing up, and it's just hilarious. It's like you say, Witcher, it's a very dark game, but that's one of the few moments they let yourself and the characters have a really fun moment, and it really stands out.
Yeah, because then if you keep on drinking, then you need to go through the mission the next day completely shit-faced.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he wakes up pretty bad. Yeah.
But getting up on 16. Let's kind of start wrapping up. Let's get some final thoughts on Game of the Year for GRTV here in 2015.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on The Witcher 3 and why it deserves to be numero uno.
Yeah. Shall I start it off
Kick
here?
off.
Well, finding Game of the Year this year has been extremely hard. There's been so many great titles out there and in so many different genres. But the way I see it, I think The Witcher 3 is the one that kind of it kind of encompasses everything that is about a good game. It's got good story, it's got an engrossing world, it's got good characters. Combat is fun as long as you set the setting right, as we just learned. And it's just got so many facets to it that just makes it such a great overall experience of a game. There are other great games out this year, but this one here was the one that really stood out, I think, for many.
And it should also, we mentioned already support, but they've already released the first DLC, which is a sizable expansion.
Exactly.
Another one coming early next year.
Yeah.
You guys give your final breakdown of The Witcher 3.
Well, I think I sort of opened up with it, really, that it sort of feels like the next step of an RPG, the way it's sort of put together, the structure of it, the way it ties quests together and sort of blends it all, and the immersion that brings. It's something that I feel is a step above what we've seen before. So I think it's basically on that merit, because we've had a lot of great games this year, but perhaps not a lot of great sort of transcending games that have sort of taken things to the next level. So I think that's why it should win.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think this year had a lot of great games, but for me it was a really obvious choice. I don't think any game came close to what Witcher 3 did. And also, not only is the game awesome, it's probably one of the best adventures I had in gaming. And also what CD Projekt Red has done with the game, they released 16 DLCs after, 3 DLCs after the game launched. They released 11 patches, and the game is now running super smooth, very little bugs. So it's good to see that they continue to support the game. It's really best. It's more than 100 hours, easy. A lot of great story, a lot of great gameplay, great combats. Game of the year. It's easy for me.
It feels like we've seen a coming of age this year with CD Projekt Red, and like Baines alluded to at the very beginning, they've gone through the gears, and we've seen a steady evolution with this studio. They had the IP in place, and they'd been. I mean, The Witcher 2. I played quite a bit of The Witcher 2. It's a very good game, but it's not anywhere as good as Wild Hunt. And yeah, we've seen a studio kind of announce itself at the highest table of gaming now. And in terms of Western RPGs, for my money, we had two powerhouse studios in Bethesda and with BioWare, and now I think we've got three.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that about sums it up. So, Game of the Year, according to us here at GRTV in 2015, is The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. Hey, if you disagree, or if you've gone through our list and we haven't mentioned your Game of the Year, feel free to write it in the comments and make us feel bad.
Let us know about it.
But
Yeah, you're wrong. But
yeah, you're wrong.
let us know.
But this is our list. We're sticking by it. Game of the Year, Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the new year for another year of gaming.
Yeah.
What are you doing?